はい、皆さん、本日は、第37回東京国際映画祭、交流ラウンジにお越しいただきまして、ありがとうございます。これからですね、パヤル、カパリア監督と是枝裕和監督をお迎えし、トークセッションを、開催いたします。それではですね、皆さんどうぞ拍手でお迎えください。パヤルカパリア監督、そして、是枝監督、こちらにお越しください。どうぞ。はい。本日はですね、私、プログラミングディレクターの、Ichiyama Shozo が司会を行います。そして、英語通訳は、海老名志音さんと、佐村千美さんに、お願いいたします。こちらにありますように、1番が日本語、2番が
Channel will be on channel 1 and then English translation will be on channel 2.
簡単にちょっと説明しますと、この交流ラウンジは是枝さんの発案でですね。
So this very idea came from Director Kore-eda.
なんですみません、毎年お忙しい中、いつも
Thank you very much for joining as a guest.
最初はですね、
Despite how busy you are, and then in the very beginning, the first session started during COVID, and then we couldn't invite the guests over, so we had the talk session remotely. And then up until last year, we were using the venue called Micro, and then this year we were able to rent Lexus Meet, this venue. And it's very close to where TIFF is being held. I believe that this is really the closest to our ideals, what we had envisioned in the beginning, and this is the first time to have the talk session here. And this lounge was made possible with the support from the Japan Foundation, so thank you very much for letting us have this wonderful event. And the guest for today, Director Kore-eda, I don't think he requires any introduction. He's one of the most worldly renowned directors from Japan, and then he was also one of the jury members at Cannes International Film Festival. And there is a prize which is second to Palme d'Or. It's Grand Prix, and then this Grand Prix was awarded to director Payal Kapadia's film All We Imagine as Light. And Director Kore-eda requested to have this talk session with Director Kapadia. And some of you may know Director Kapadia. Received the grand prize at Yamagata International Documentary Film Festival with A Night of Knowing Nothing. And then there was special screening yesterday of And What is the Summer Saying? So her documentary films have been screened here in Japan, so maybe some of you have seen her films. So would you be able to say a few words to the audience in Tokyo?
Please say something to the
Director
audience.
Kapadia?
Thank you very much for this introduction, and thank you so much, Director Kore-eda-san, for inviting me here. It's just really nice to be here and to be able to talk about my work, because two of my films have shown here in Japan, and I came to the Yamagata Festival in 2019, and it was one of the most wonderful experience meeting the audience and talking about the film. So it's really nice to be back. Thank you very much.
はい、それではですね、この後しばらくマイクを是枝さんにお渡しして、ちょっと是枝さんの方からちょっとトークをお進めいただきたいと思いますが、よろしいでしょうか。
Is that okay? Director
はい
Kore-eda?
頑張ります。
はい。
Yes, I'll do my best.
今年も交流ラウンジを無事に開くことができて本当に
extremely
係者の皆様に感謝申し上げます。
to be able to hold
今年が
the
一
TIFF
番
lounge again
今
this
一山さんも言ってた
year.
けどいい
And as
環境的に
Ichiyama-san
はとても
mentioned, I believe that this
話しやすい
is
し聞きやすい
the
し
best venue.
路面なんで
So far,
外
it's
からも
easy to speak, it's
こうイベ
easy
ント
to
やってるの分かりやす
listen,
いし
and it's on the ground
と
floor,
てもい
so
いなと
people
思い
in
ま
the
す。
street can see
なの
that we're
でそ
having
の
this event, so this is
あの
great.
環境に負けないトークをします。
So I will like to have a talk session that is just as great as this
今ご紹介をい
venue.
ただいたように
As
僕
it was
は
introduced,
今年のカンヌの映画祭で彼女の
During
最
the
新
Cannes
作を
Festival,
拝
I
見しま
watched
した。
her latest film,
審査員でした。
and I was a jury at Cannes.
ただその審査のプロセスを、誰が
And
何をした
the
とか
process of the
何対
selection,
何だった
how
と
many
か
votes went
そういう
to
ディテー
which
ルは、
film,
死
and
ぬ
how
まで
many
喋っちゃいけ
votes
ないっ
were
ていう
given to
誓約
this
書があって
against how many votes of this
それ
person.
にサインをしているの
So
で
I actually signed a
詳しくは
confidentiality
語れないん
pledge,
ですが
and the details are
今
to
回交流ラウン
remain
ジで誰を呼びたいかと
confidential
言われて
forever.
僕が真っ
So I
先
cannot
に
speak in
名前を挙
detail
げたのが
about the
彼女だと
selection
いうこと
process,
で
but TIFF asked me who I wanted to
お察しい
invite
た
to
だ
the
ければ
TIFF
なと思い
lounge,
ま
and
す。
immediately I mentioned her name, so you can take a hint from that.
で、いろんなことを
And
審査員いる間接触しちゃいけないので
you
授
were
賞式の
in
後のパーティーで
Cannes,
ちょっとだけお話をさせていた
couldn't
だいたぐらい
contact them, so I
僕
only
ほ
had
と
a
んど
short chit chat with
パ
her
イル
during
さん
the
のことを
party after
存じ上げ
after
ずに
the
ここに
award
来ていますの
ceremony.
で
So I'm
すごく初
sitting
歩的な
here
ことからいろいろお伺いしていこうと思いま
not
すけどよろし
knowing
いで
too
すか
much about her. So is it okay that I start by asking basic questions?
Thank you.
ちょっと遡って学生時代の
So
話から
let's
聞
go
きますけ
back
ど
in
その前
time
にカン
to when you
ヌ
were
は
a
いかがでし
student.
た
But
か
before
カン
that,
ヌ何
how
度
was
目だったん
Cannes?
ですか
How
映画
many
祭は
times have you participated in Cannes Film Festival?
I had I had a short film at the festival when I was a student. It was called Afternoon Clouds. It was my student film. But it was, and after that I had my documentary in the Director's Fortnight section in Cannes. But that was the COVID year, so it was a very different festival. So this was the first time that I had to see the festival in its glory. Yeah, so it was, I think for me, we didn't expect that the film would be in competition. It was a film that I'd been making for many years, and when you get this email, you feel you want to pinch yourself. So the whole thing was very new to me, and it was just nice to have the film with so many filmmakers whose film I watched in film school, like Miguel Gomes, and these are the directors that and yourself, and even there was the jury members, the others. We were in film school, and we will watch films of the directors. So for me, it was, I have to admit, I was very nervous. But I had my whole team with me, and everybody had come from India. My actresses had come. So when everybody is together, you feel a bit better. So that's why it was a nice feeling.
上映で拝見しててもその仲間でみんなでやって
I
きて
watched
す
the
ごく楽しそう
screening
リラックスして楽しそうだなっていうふうに僕は見てました。
Felt that you were quite relaxed, you were having a good time.
来てくれた方たち、カメラマンさんもちょっとお伺いしたんですけど、大学
I heard
の
about
映
this
画の学校の同級
briefly.
生
Your cinematographer is from the same class
Yes.
from school?
The director, the photography, the cinematographer, and me, we met when we were students at the Film and Television Institute of India, which is our national film school. And we started working together then. But we were not in the same class. He was 1 year senior to me. So when it's like this in film school, you have to work with only people in your own class because it's administration. So when he could not shoot my films, he would be my assistant director. So we had a very close working relationship. And with this film also, when I was writing, we would work a lot doing tests and shooting Mumbai because the city is based in, the film is based in Mumbai. So while writing the film, for 2 years, we would go in the monsoon and do some shooting, and it was a very co-dependent, collaborative experience. And I think that was true of my cast also. That's why we were so happy in the festival. They're just people who gave a lot to the film.
ちょっと基本的なことをお伺いしますけど、インドというのは国立の映画大学はいくつあるんですか？
there is a national film school. How many do you have?
The government film school, this is the national one. Then in India we have a federal system. So every state, many states have film schools which are state funded. So we have the Kolkata Film School, which is called the Satyajit Ray Film and Television Institute. Then we have a few in the southern state of Kerala. We have in Chennai. So each state has some film schools, but this one is the national one that I went to. I think we need more film schools because they only take 10 people every year, and population of India has a lot. So.
それは何10人というのは監督コースがってことですか？
People for the director course?
Yes. And there is 10 for cinematography, 10 for editing, and like this, 10 for production design. We have acting also. But yeah, the school was very good. Like it helped me a lot to watch a lot of movies. And we had the National Film Archive, which was joined to our film school. And the National Film Archives was started in the 1960s and they were the early pirates, because any movie that came to the National Film Festival, they will make a copy on film. And we will watch that illegal copy on film.
そもそもその大学で映画を学ぼうと思うきっかけになった子供の頃の映画体験というのはどんなものになるんですか？
What was your childhood film experience?
Actually, I was not sure what I wanted to do in my life. And fortunately, I had a family of, my mother is a painter. So I had a lot of exposure to visual arts and things like this. From an early age, and she would take me along because her friends were documentary filmmakers, and so whenever there was a screening, I will go with her. But I don't think I understood much, but I think sometimes you take it in any way. So I had this privilege of exposure at a young age, but I didn't want to be a filmmaker because I think I didn't want to do anything with the arts, because when your parents are artists, your protest is to do some like mathematics. So I thought I'll be a rebellious. I didn't want to do anything with the arts, but when I joined university, I went to a lot of film festivals, and we saw many films from around the world, and we saw some films. We had a festival called the Experimenta, which had short films which were very, very experimental, and student films. So I saw the films of the film school. They had short films, student films, and they were very not at all like narrative, very sometimes naive or like very free. And I felt that, this could be, a nice place that I could go to. So I applied after university. I didn't get in admission. So I said, oh no, maybe it's not for me, filmmaking. Then I worked for 5 years as an assistant director, which was miserable. And I said, I have to apply again. And then I applied again and I got through.
一度現場に出てから学校戻ってるのね。
Experience, and then you went to school.
Yes,
went back
but
to school.
I worked in very odd jobs, like sometimes advertising, sometimes documentary film. Wherever as an assistant I would get a job, I did that. But I think anyway, doing and everything teaches you something. So I think I learned on the job also. So when I went to film school, I was older than a lot of my classmates.
2021年のその山形で大賞を取った何も知らない夜という映画は、ドキュメンタリー、あまりジャンルはどっちでも構わないと僕は思ってますけども、ご自身のその在籍していた大学を舞台にした作品だと思いますが、あれは寮の部屋なのかな、壁に黒澤明とゴダールの写真が飾ってあって、大学時代にパヤルさんが触れて、すごく自分の今映画を作る上で自分の糧になってるっていうか、ベースになってる、影響を受けた監督というのはどなたになるんですか？
I watched so many movies, and I was a big cinephile, and it changed with the season. So when it was springtime, we watched a lot of Czech New Wave movies. I don't know why. This was the feeling of spring, to watch New Wave cinema from Czechoslovakia. And we watched a lot of films from Japan. We watched your movies. We watched Naomi Kawase a lot, especially her documentaries, Embracing, and her early movies were really inspiring. And we would watch a lot of Apichat Pong, Vidasetakul, and Edward Yang, Siming Liang. Siming Liang was our film school. Everybody was crazy about Siming Liang in my film school, and we watched a lot of Asian cinema then. But the film school, it was kind of modeled on the Moscow Film School from the 60s. So we had a lot of movies from like early USSR movies, like from Eisenstein, Pudovkin, Dovzhenko. So, and we would study editing, watching those movies. So I think that style was something that helped me a lot to kind of think about image, sound in a way that was not always joint. And but the film school was very, it could be the kind of school where you could not do anything and just dream, or you could do a lot and you could engage a lot with watching films and things like this. So it was a very free school, but I loved watching films, and I think most of my love for cinema came from being very excited to watch movies. We watched a lot of Indian films also, like Ritik Ghotok was also on in the film. There is on our walls we had Kurosawa, we had Ritik Ghotok, and we had Satyajit Ray. We would make paintings and also pictures on the walls. So if you see the movie, you will see all the paintings and the pictures. Yes.
ちょっとそのインドの映画の状況というのをちょっとだけ広げてお伺いしますけれども、あまり映画を娯楽とアートに分ける好きではないんですけども、その映画の大学を卒業した多くの、技術者も監督もですけども、多くはあれですか、いわゆる僕らがよく見る RRR みたいな歌って踊る3時間半みたいな、そういう映画産業を支えるというか、あれがメインストリームとしてあるの、やっぱりそこに行く方の方が多いんですか？
Actually, some people, as in it's not easy to sustain a career doing independent movies. It's for a lot of people, it's not a choice. They have to maybe go into the mainstream industry because we don't have a support system. After you finish film school, a lot of people feel like they have to start earning money and make some choices of that kind. So a lot of them do join mainstream Bollywood also, or like RRR is from the south of India. So people, I think what's happened, like earlier our film school used to have a connection with the national TV channel, and people would get support to work and make their own films. But now there is no such structure. So I think a lot of filmmakers, students, cinematographers, editors, because there's no support for independent films, there's no choice, because you have to live life and you have to support your family, and so it becomes difficult to work as an independent filmmaker. So
その中でパヤルさんは、
But yet, Payal
非
san,
常に順調にというか作
you've
品を
successfully
重ねてこられ
continued
て、
to make
今
films.
年のそのカンヌで
And
上
then
映
the
された作
film
品
that was screened
な
at Cannes this year.
何本目って言えばいいのこれ。
How many films have you made so far?
作品の数としては。
Oh,
How many?
two long films,
長編は
uh,
まだ2本だけ。
and then short films,
あとはショートフィルム
two
なの。
feature films.
素晴らしいねっていうか。
Yes.
Amazing.
これはどういう、例えばお金はどういう形で集まってるんですか、この映画には。
Where do you
どこ
get
から
the
の支援
funds
でこの映画撮れてるの？
from? Who supported you
So,
to make this film?
So the first movie was a documentary film, hybrid documentary film. And we didn't really have any funding for that movie to start with, because when I started making the film, there was no film. We were just shooting, and there was no thinking that this will be a film or how the film will be. It was because we were protesting and we were shooting. So it was very spontaneous. But I got the funding because I had a French co-production. We always go to the French. They give money to make films. So that's how I funded that film. And with All Imagine is Light also, it was a co-production. We have a kind of a treaty in India for foreign co-productions where we get a tax concession. But that's all the support you get in India to make films.
ちょっと見てみる？予告編。
Shall we
は
watch
い
the
そう
trailer?
かくだから
それではカンヌで受賞したその All We Imagine as Light の予
This
告
is
編
All
を
We
流してくださ
Imagine
い。
as Light trailer, Grand Prix at Cannes.
ഇത് പ്രവേശിക്കാണല്ലോ ഇതിപ്പോ ആരയക്കാനാ ഒന്നും കാണുന്നില്ല മെയ്ഡ് ഇൻ ജർമ്മനി ചേച്ചിയുടെ ഹസ്ബൻഡ് എവിടെയല്ലേ
लास्ट टाइम कभी फोन किया था उसने 1 साल से ऊपर हो गया
കൊട്ടു അറിയാത്തൊരാളെ എങ്ങനെ കല്യാണം കഴിക്കാൻ കൊണ്ടൊന്നും പറ്റുമെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നില്ല അതിനെന്റെ മോനെ രാത്രി വരെ കാത്തിരിക്കേണ്ടി വരും പക്ഷേ തൽക്കാലത്തേക്ക് ഞാൻ ഈ മേഘത്തിന്റെ കയ്യിൽ കുറച്ച് ഉമ്മ കൊടുത്തിട്ടാലോ
എന്തൊക്കെ ഇതിനെ പറ്റി ഇവിടെ ആൾക്കാർ പറഞ്ഞു നമുക്കത് വിചാരമുണ്ടോ
എന്റെ വീട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് ഇങ്ങനെ ചെക്കന്മാരുടെ ഫോട്ടോസൊക്കെ അയക്കുന്നുണ്ട് കല്യാണത്തിന് പക്ഷെ എനിക്കിപ്പോ കെട്ടണ്ട എല്ലാം നമ്മുടെ തലയിൽ എടുത്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കും
काही लोक बोलतात स्वप्नाचं शेर आहे काही तर माया नगरी இந்த மாயை நம்பணும் இல்லைன்னா உனக்கு பைத்தியம் பிடிச்சிடும்
ഭാവിയെ പറ്റി ചിന്തിക്കാറുണ്ടോ
हम दोनों का सेम है सिस्टर एकता जीव सदा ऐसा ऐसा लगता है ये जगह है ही नहीं गायब हो जाओ तो किसी को पता भी नहीं चलेगा
हमें पता चलेगा
So,
簡単にどんな映画ですかこれ
to
は。
briefly tell us what the
あらす
movie
じ
is about, the
あらすじじゃ
synopsis.
なくてもいいんですけど、これは
Maybe it doesn't have to be a
何に
synopsis,
ついての映画ですか
synopsis, but what is this movie about?
This trailer doesn't say anything. The film is it's about the two women who are from the southern state of Kerala, and they are living and working in Mumbai. They are roommates, but I wouldn't really call them friends, because sometimes you become roommates by chance. The one room, one bed is free, and then somebody comes and stays. So it's like by chance friendship between two people who are of slightly different generations. There is Prabha, who's almost 40, and then there is Anu, who's like in her mid 20s. So the film is about each of them being in impossible love situations, not with each other, but with two different people. And it's kind of a film about friendship and finding your own kind of family when, in India, a family is a complicated entity. It's something that will be supportive also, but it can also be bringing you down sometimes. And so the film is about a family that you make when you move away from your own family, and a family of friends, perhaps, to propose in the film. A lot of your movies are about different families.
時々ね。
Sometimes.
僕の話はともかくとして、
So, parking aside
こ
the
れ
topic
を
of my
カンヌで
film,
拝見した
I
時に、
saw this in Cannes,
僕はとても
and
愛
I
したわけですけど、この作品
I
を。
fell in love with this film.
すごくね、登場人物の置かれている状況はシリアスで、シビア
Situation
であ
that
る
the
にもかかわ
characters
ら
are
ず、
in is serious and
登
severe,
場人物も作家の
But yet,
語り口も
the
とても
characters,
穏やか
as
な
well as the style in which
声
you
高
tell
で
the
ない
story
何
is
かを
very
訴えるとき
calm.
に決して
It's not
声高になら
loud.
ない
When you make a statement, You never become
すべての登場
too
人
loud.
物に監督
And you
の
also
ある種の
show
シンパシーというか
a sense of sympathy to all of the characters
愛情が注がれている
in the
そ
film.
れが
You have affection
あ
for
の
all of them.
特に今年のカンヌのコンペの作品の中では
For the films
逆に
in
すごく
this year's
際立った
Cannes
んですよね
competition category
とて
that
もその
actually
置
stood
かれている
out
状況の深刻さを克服する
in
ために
order
戦う
to
戦う
overcome the
映画
serious
とか
circumstances. One
と
can
にか
fight
く声高な映画とかがたくさんあった中で
many films about
実は
that battle, and there are many
パイルさんの映
films
画が
that
一
were
番
loud in
その
making that
語
statement.
りかける力は強かったなという
Your
ふうに
way of telling the story was the
言い切っちゃっ
strongest.
たな思いました
I made a definitive statement.
特にその予告だけだとなかなか分かりにくいかもしれない
With
け
a
ど声
trailer, it's quite
人
difficult to
間の
understand
声
all
っ
of
ていうも
that,
の
but
が声がどこから響いてくるのかどのように響いてくるのかっていうこと
and how
が
the
僕は
voices sound
すみませ
and
ん
are carried.
短
I'm
編も含めて3
sorry
本しか拝
to
見していない
admit
んです
that
けれ
I've
ども
only watched
どの
three
作
of
品
your
もやは
films,
り
including a
声
short
の存
film.
在感っていうの
For
が
all
と
of
ても重要
them, the
な
voices
作品だなと思っ
play
て
an
ますけれど
important
も
role, I believe.
これは録音の仕方も含めてどのぐら
Maybe
い
it's
意
about
識
the
をされてます
recording
か
methodology as well. How conscious are you of the importance of voices?
Yeah, I think the sound for me is how films affect me very physically, and I think that in cinema we don't need to be very loud because we're in a hall and we can hear everything very softly, and I can talk to you all like this, and it can still be nice. And so I think that I like to have a feeling that as if somebody is talking into your ear, sitting next to you in a gentle way, not very far away from you. And this is what I like about films, that you can have a long shot, a very wide shot, but the voice can be still intimate. And in cinema, we can do that, which which is something that I enjoy very much in films, that voice can create the intimacy even in a large shot. And that can bring you feel very close to the characters even if we are far away. And sometimes I think that I don't want to go too close physically to the characters. I find myself being a little far away. But with the voice, I don't feel like that. I feel like being close and listening and being very soft in hearing. And I think that is something in cinema we can do. And it's the fun, it's the joy of making films that we have these choices. That I like that a lot.
2021年の何も知らない夜という作品の中ですごく印象に残った、これもモノローグとして語られてましたけれども、一節があって、支配者が残す記録だけが歴史と呼ばれるっていう、これ覚えてらっしゃる？覚えてらっしゃるとか、翻訳でそのままいけるかと。この一言はどこから出てきた一言ですか
？Well, in that film, I was thinking a lot about the current situation of student movements and the political situation in India. And there is a lot right now going on about claiming history and claiming the past and claiming mythology and things like this. So this line came from kind of a counter of mainstream appropriation of history and history, I think, basically. And that's why I had it in the film.
これに触れた時に、なるほど、この一言に対峙する形、これへのカウンターとしてパイルさんがいわゆる歴史を、民衆って言葉はちょっとあれかもしれないけど、人々の側に取り戻すための営みとしての映画っていうものを考えてらっしゃるんだなというふうに思って、その考え方というのは僕が見た3本の中にはどの作品にも一貫してあるのね。だから語り口はすごく静かなんだけれども、そこの哲学は本当に揺るがないものがあるなというふうに感じたんですけど、
I think, yeah, it's I don't know how to respond. I like to make films that are not very big, that are in a small kind of everyday things like rice cooker or, because I think everyday life has a lot of drama. We don't need to look outside too much. So this is the kind of stories that I like. In fact, when we were students at film school, we were reading some Japanese short stories like Kawabata. One of my teachers introduced us to this story called Palm of Hand Stories from Kawabata, which were just one-page stories. And I liked very much how he was writing in that. It was so deceptively, simply, like very daily, but it was so many things that were covered in just 3-4 paragraphs and went from history, past, dreams, realities, anxieties, happiness. And I felt very liberated reading those very short stories, thinking that you can actually talk about a lot of things with very little bit. And this process, I'm very thankful for my teacher to introduce me to works like this, which are, again, deceptively simple, but actually there is a lot of layers in it, which just the juxtaposition creates. Yeah, I don't know if this answers the question, but it's just how I think about things.
今ご覧いただいた予告編の映画は、日本では来年の7月に文化村ルシネマ渋谷宮下っていうものこれ、ヒューマントラストシネマ有楽町ほか全国ロードショーです。公開が決まっているので、ぜひ今日のお話を聞いて予告を見て気になっている方はメモしておいていただいて、来年見ていただければなというふうに思っておりますが、今これで今どんな時期なの？これはこの作品は全世界的に今公開を待たれている状況で。なるほど。インドでも。
インドで公開。So I think that the film will be soon released in India.
Yes.
So that's why you must leave tomorrow.
Yes, it's releasing in India on the 22nd of November, but they want to do the promotion because nobody wants to go to cinemas anymore. It's very sad.
今もうそのキャンペーンが終わったら次の作品の準備に入る感じですか？
Yes, I hope so. It's going on. Yes.
これ録音とかカメラマンってその短編の時からずっと一緒ですか？チームはカンヌに来てたチーム。
Yes. I think I will only work with as many people as are willing to work with me again. I like to work with the same people. Yes. Even the editor, I worked on my previous movie also, and this movie as well. And the sound mixer, the color grader. So as much as possible, I like to, if they agree, then it's nice for me to do that.
その新作も楽しみにお待ちしてます。
Thank you.